On today's Try to Finish Something, hey look, self-promotion. I'm doing a trooper build, and not any ordinary stormtrooper. This is the Shoretrooper from Rogue One, and I love the way those looked, and I thought I was never going to get to see them again, because, you know, those pesky rebels blew up the whole planet, killing all of them, but then they showed back up in The Mandalorian. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to make the Mandalorian kit, the pre-Beskar version, because they had that Shoretrooper shoulder bell armor. And I love the Shoretroopers. That's one of the other kits that I'm going to go for 501st approval on. And Disney Plus announced that they were doing the new Andor series that comes out next year. More Shoretroopers set in the same time as Rogue One, so I was ecstatic. And Star Wars has a habit of having underused, really cool troopers. I loved one of the troopers in Solo. I'm getting off on a tangent. And as Jeff used to say all the time when we were doing morning radio, nothing's more important than the music. The music today is a trooper build. And as my program directors used to tell me all the time, shut up and get to what's important. The music, or the build. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got a Shoretrooper build on today's Try to Finish Something. So I'm not sure if you're seeing all of the social media about the new Disney Plus Andor series being filmed right now in the UK, but thanks to Street Rogue Photography, we are getting a sneak peek, and there are a lot of Shoretroopers. Oop, there it is right there. Did you see that blaster pistol? That is new, and I need that for my Shoretrooper kit right now. The problem is I can't get my CR10 3D printer to work at the moment, but luckily there are people out there that can help. And even if you don't have a 3D printer, I reached out to Michael Sapp, who has the rights to print the OxProps 3D model of that exact blaster. And there aren't a lot of images, but OxProps has done a great job with this file, basing it off the same machine gun Star Wars used for the Stormtrooper E11 blaster. Now, Michael Sapp of TotalClosetNerd on Etsy will either send you the raw pieces for you to assemble, or he'll send you a fully assembled and painted prop for display or trooping. Of course, I went for the raw files because I love to sand. I don't know. I will use Bondo putty to fill in some of the deeper grooves, but I will say that Michael did a great job with these files, and they really don't need that much help at all. But I'm a bit of a detail freak, and I don't know. I always sand a lot. I can't help it. But I will say this up front. You should do a dry fit of the whole print before you start. I didn't, and I wind up sanding a lot of areas that you will never, ever see. A few tips for those who haven't done this. If you are sanding Bondo, try and sand against the print lines. And if you have flat areas, try and put the sandpaper on a table or a level spot and sand in circles or figure eights as much as you can. In the end, you just don't want print lines. And I'm going all the way to a 1200 grit, and I don't mind a few scratches and pits. A worn metal blaster would have those too. I don't want pattern lines from printing. Lots of sanding. Dear God, it's a lot of sanding. Again, not because the print is bad, I just have problems, and I don't know, really love red dust. It gets everywhere. Now, the only thing I don't like about this model is the grip is in two halves. I understand that it makes it easy to print, but now I have to join these two and Bondo the crap out of the seam lines. And I was talking to Michael later, and he said that when he does this, he usually uses filament and a wood burner to permanently join them. Oh, that is brilliant. I'm going to have to try that next time. Now, while some of the Bondo is drying, I hit some items outside with a black primer. I have no idea how, but I'm out of the primer filler that I usually use, so this is just primer, no filler, and no help in the texture department. I'm going to start to assemble these barrel rails that may or may not be in the screen blaster. It's hard to tell in the photo, but they are on the Shoretrooper rifle, and it's one of the reasons I like this OxProps model. They look awesome. I am adding as many mechanical connections as possible and cutting the heads off various nails and screws and putting on things like this ammo connection with the nails, then into the barrel to make sure that things just don't go anywhere. Also, TotalClosetNerd did what they should have done and printed everything in the model, but they didn't need to. All of these resin-printed screws that are just heads and glued on for looks, yeah, I'm going to replace those with real screws and drill parts out. I will even add in a few more screws here and there for looks. Why? I don't know. It adds a little bit of weight. All right, I'm making that up. I just like it, and I have no real reason why. Ooh, see, here's one of those times. I bondoed and sanded the end of this magazine a ton, and it gets covered by a decorative piece that has a modeled button head screw in it. Yep, sanding that screw off, and I'm going to add a real one. Now adding nails to the connection of the barrel and the handle part. I'm sure all of this has a real name for a gun nerd, but I'm a Star Wars nerd, and I don't know it. I'm heating up the nail pieces to melt them into the 3D parts to really get them to stay in place. Now, the folding stock. That doesn't really fold. It has this resin printed in. Resin printed prints are super smooth. Damn, that is a sexy print. I have to sand and force this peg that holds the side rails of the folding stock to keep everything in place, and it's a tight fit. I'm going to use the ratchet clamp to kind of force that peg into the hole. Ooh, resin prints are sexy, but kind of fragile. I just broke it in half. I'm going to have to glue that back together. Adding some real screws to the swivel connection part on the other end of the folding stock, and I'm getting close to being done with assembly. So here's my idea for paint. I'll put a link to one of my first videos. It's terrible, but you can see my Shoretrooper kit towards the end. Feel free to fast forward, but my Shore is worn and dirty, and your weapon will probably be cleaner, but your weapon should match your kit. And my Shoretrooper is on a remote outpost of the Empire, cut off from reinforcements, but still upholding Empire law. See, I have a backstory there. My weapon needs to look like it's seen a lot of battle, and I want worn paint, and in the end, I want there to be different layers of the Montana Gold Sierra Beige spray paint to look like this weapon has been repaired and repainted several times, and I'm using my preferred toothpaste chipping, but I'm out of my cheap basic white toothpaste I normally use for this, and I'm using my kids' AIM blue toothpaste. I don't need to brush their teeth. I've got Star Wars toys to paint. I've never used this blue, and I'm not sure how it's going to clean off, but my toy will smell minty fresh. After the paint, inside to try and clean off the toothpaste. Yep, I don't like the AIM. Comes off okay, but I hate the blue. It's hard to clean, and the regular white toothpaste is at least white and less noticeable. Stick with the white when you make yours. On to my usual weathering. Washes of brown and black creeping up on the effect. I paint the parts that look black in the reference pictures, the rails, handle, and the magazine. Now, James of Rebel Base Builds just did a video this week about using a silver Sharpie to do some of the metal scratches where the paint's all the way down to the metal. I'm going to try that instead of my usual rub and buff. I'll link his video in the description. It works great. I'm gonna add that to my weathering toolbox. A little weathering over the top of the scratches and clean off some of the Sierra beige to look like it's been repainted. All right, I am considering this new Andor series Shoretrooper Blaster finished. If you liked the video, please spread the word and tell a friend and subscribe. If you didn't, as always, just keep it to yourself. And we'll see you next time as we try to finish something.